The NHS is in trouble, we all know that. Is this though what eventually the logo for the NHS will look like? The NHS, I would argue, is quite plainly put the single most important service in our country. Theresa May has said today on Sky News that the NHS has more funding than it needs. So why then is it still in trouble? They reduced funding last year, which no doubt caused problems. Reduce someone's wages and they sometimes take a downward slide, but don't have money to improve things. If this is what happened last year due to the lack of funding, the extra funding the Prime Minister has given just sorts them problems out and it doesn't make it better. Now, I've been in a discussion with someone today and the funding for the NHS, we've come to the conclusion, and it might be obvious to some of you, is based on the amount of people that use it. But jumping on the side of immigration just quickly, apparently we don't have a problem. The government say we don't have a problem. Now, I've always said immigration isn't a bad thing, but when you have people coming into the country and not paying for a service, I would argue eventually, ultimately, that service is going to struggle. But think about this. If the government were to increase funding so much that next week, miraculously, the NHS becomes a flourishing A-grade service, would that say indirectly then eventually that there is a problem with the amount of people in this country? The problem you have got, I think, is that the NHS is being abused for things that don't need to go to hospital for. People getting drunk. Just one example, bear with me. Being sick because of it. How often do you see people drunk in A&E? I've been there. I was one of them people years ago. I abused alcohol in and out of hospital, but I wised up, sorted myself out. I didn't get no help from no one, really. I valued life more than I valued the contents of a bottle. Now, I would hazard a guess that's why the number 111 was created, to sift through the unnecessary. But again, I would hazard another guess. Not many people make use of this service, and instead of taking it off their own back to just walk down, take a trip down to the hospital. Are we saving as well on the membership from the EU? Where is that money going? The 350 million that the Leave campaign promised. Now, I said in a previous episode, why does the government keep lowering corporate tax? Do we really need 369 million to refurbish Buckingham Palace? Now, at this point, I can almost hear the haters typing and highlighting the fact that they bring in money for tourism. But the combined wealth of the royal family, which includes assets, has been reported to be £500 million. Now, couldn't they pay themselves? Stump up just a little bit of the cash for the work. Go half, then the half we save can go into the NHS. The money is there if you choose it to be. Now, Theresa May has said about the NHS and social care that they are going to increase funding, and the £1.2 million promise for mental health for children is being used elsewhere, and Theresa May will hold bosses of the NHS accountable, which brings me to the point then, is there too many managers in the NHS? Now, she goes on about we must all stick together as a shared society to combat any problems such as this, but are the corporate companies that are getting away with the tax going to be part of this shared society? Now, over the last couple of years, corporate tax has been lowered and apparently will continue to do so over the next 5 years. She goes on to say about the struggle of working class and families and how they struggle. Now, firstly, how the bloody hell do you know that about that, Theresa? But those in Westminster also, she said, don't appreciate how hard it is for a working family. Now, I say, why the sudden change of heart? Why is she almost now echoing the words of the Labour Party? She then goes on to say, resentments grow, and the divisions that we see around us between a more prosperous older generation and a struggling younger generation, between the wealth of London and the rest of the country, between the rich and successful and the powerful and their fellow citizens, become entrenched. But she, or rather the Conservatives, have created that. Again I say, corporate tax, no cap on bank bonuses, the level of expenses for politicians, or at least most of them, cuts on disability benefits, increase on council tax. The list could go on. So obviously there is a divide, because you keep putting, certainly in my view, putting cuts in the wrong place. Loopholes in tax, which prosperous people pay solicitors to seek out and make use of. Now, it's not wrong to be prosperous, of course it's not, but be moral about it. And she goes on also to say that means building the shared society, a society that doesn't just value our individual rights, but focuses rather more on the responsibilities we have to one another. A society that respects the bonds of family, community, citizenship, and strong institutions that we share as a union of people and nations. A society with commitment, and here it comes, to fairness at its heart. Why don't politicians take a pay cut then? Now, it's a fair enough question, I think. My partner's company was struggling a few months ago. Now, I advised her to lead by example and just take a slight pay cut. She did. It turns out now that employers, I would say, respect her even more, and the company is beginning to climb again. Rock on. Now, isn't that sharing things, certainly as a group or society within the company? I don't know. The fact that the Prime Minister also said, and it is the job of the government to encourage and nurture these relationships and institutions where it can, and to correct the injustice and unfairness that divides us wherever it is found. Does that mean then she will stop the benefit cuts to families, which now has a cap and was cut by £3,000 a year and almost double in other parts of the country? I think not. Actions, I'm afraid, are far louder than words. And for me, until we have a puppet, yes, puppet, in charge that speaks words and implements actions that actually make this country great, I'm not buying anything of what Theresa said in her speech. As for the NHS, in my view, the government want it to fail. The evidence is there. Now, I've pointed this out many times. In the same debate I was having today, we came up with a time frame in which the NHS could no longer be with us, and it's scary. I feel it's right. I hope it isn't. Now, we gave the NHS 2 to 3 years, yes, as soon as that. Now, I hope I'm wrong, and I hope I'm very wrong. And if I am wrong, I welcome the ridicule on my prediction. If I'm right, though, wouldn't it be a very sad day? Thanks for watching. Did you watch, read or listen to Theresa May's speech at the Charity Commission? What do you think about what she said? And more importantly, did you buy it? Let me know in the comments. And once again, thanks for watching. Click subscribe, and why not subscribe to me? Yes, just me, my vlog channel or behind the scenes channel. I'm trying to have a go at it, and why not? Just a bit more positivity. Bye bye for now.